A very good evening to you and welcome to Powerbrief on this date, that is the 19th day of the month of August, the year 2021. And just a few hours from now, Kenya is yet to encounter another historic moment, that is a ruling from the Court of Appeal regarding the BBI case that was presented to it some month ago. Tonight, we look into the politics of coalitions, and we are joined by Mr. Philip Mwangale, who is a leadership and a governance consultant, also flanked by Mr. Godfrey Salikato, who is a researcher on governance affairs. We also have Celestine Njagi, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. My name is Cornelius Omuse, and I welcome you into this discussion as we look back into the history of coalition politics in Kenya, and where did it begin, where has it brought this country, and what is it portraying to this country as the country approaches the 2022 general elections. Keep it here on CAT TV. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to Powerbrief tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, Celestine, it's been a while. Kato was here the other day. Mwangale, this is your home. Really feel free. Today we've seen what has happened. Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, flanked by Moses Wetangula, together with Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, came out gun blessing concerning these newspaper that I'm just holding. They are talking of they have been misreported that yesterday they met the president over COVID-19 issues, but what came out was the issue to do with the coalitions. All of us may actually agree that coalitions are not new things in Kenya, but indeed we'll want to establish where or what exactly has been the root cause of coalitions in Kenya.
The root cause has been majorly, the number one thing when you're forming a coalition, what you want is to win an election. It is always pre-electorate. That's the first. Where did it start? We go back in 1960. We see KADU. Why is KADU formed? KADU was formed to protect the seemingly smaller ethnic communities. It was very basic. It was tribalism. You find the Kalenjin, the Maasai, the Samburu, the Turkana people. That is where KADU was formed, to protect them. Why protect them against the seemingly dominant Luo and Kikuyu who'd formed KANU? You see, so they're trying to protect themselves. Eventually, that is when we see the alliances they're starting to form. Eventually, what do these alliances form? They become coalitions. Why? They want to win an election. It's just to deliver a victory. That is where we see them start.
Thank you. Beginning to also coming to Mr. Mwangale, looking into the coalitions, especially from the year 2002. These has almost been a norm, but there must be something, according to your own study, that triggered this issue of coalitions.
I think in addition to what Celestine has mentioned, you have the tribal reality of our politics. And that is the fact that, and we have normalized it. It's unfortunate, yes, but we have normalized the fact that a candidate from Kwale cannot be voted in by a voter in Turkana if the community broker from Turkana is not on the table, what politicians call the national table, with that individual from Kwale. We have normalized that tribal politics. So it is the reality of our politics that you cannot become president if you do not have complete voting blocks from the different regions that form this country. It's unfortunate, but that is our political reality. So these coalitions are not really coalitions of ideology. They are not coalitions of purpose. Or you could say the purpose for the coalitions is purely to win the election. And that is why we have seen in the past, beginning from 2002 to date, coalitions that have been formed around the agenda of winning the seat of power have collapsed. They have disappeared into thin air after that agenda has been met. Or if they do not meet the agenda, then they seek other coalitions, one or other agenda. So that has been the reality of our politics. And I think it's unfortunate, yes, but we must accept it as our reality.
Thank you, Philip. Mr. Sali Kato,
Please.
a few years back when you were still at campus, this thing that you are speaking about, what Celestine has just said and also what Philip has just said, it actually trickled down to the university's students' elections. And a few months ago, you were in it,
No, sure.
and luckily you won. Did you also ride on the back of coalitions?
Oh, sure. Thank you so very much, Omose. Thank you, Celestine and my brother Monga, for the show. And thank you. Indeed, again, we need to know what is coalition like the way they are saying and why coalition. Normally, coalition comes when people come together. Political parties come together, groups come together when they want to achieve a given goal. For example, if you have an aim, something that you want to achieve, then you gang up with people, you rise up with people, such that you are in a position to get that. So it's even very good. Even we see it, for example, when you are mentioning like schools, we have different departments. For example, in the university, we have education, theology, we have computer sciences, and you cannot win when you are alone. Definitely, you have to work up with the rest of other people to see that you take it. It is as well the same thing that may happen in a country. If one wanted to be a leader, he must as well make sure that he's going to share the responsibility with other people. By doing so, he has to get other people, different groups, different tribes, such that he may win them. It has as well a lot of purpose with it. There is a kind of development that may come. It also, coalition controls a lot of fightings, tribal fighting, like the way Mwanga has said. Even there is as well development that may come as a result of coalition. Take an example, if you have a stand in the Department of Computer Science, you have great people in the Department of Education. When they bring their mind together, you are in a position to grow. You are in a position to work for the best of the institution. We have people from Kware, from Nyanza, from Central here in Kiambu. When all those brains are brought together, the country is yet to grow. We're in a position to increase the GDP of the country. We're in position to see that people will not fight because they know we belong. We are one.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, let's do some stock taking. Celestine began from KADU, pre-independence and even post-independence. We came to that point when President Kenyatta took over, President Moi in 1992. You remember the quest for multipartyism. So far, we've had coalitions of NAC. We came in the year 2007. We had another one for Pentagon. We had the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy. We had the Coalitions for National Alliance, that is NASA. We also had Jubilee, that it's actually in power right now. But how have they fared on? Few months before the elections and after the elections?
Really, because we find that coalitions in Kenya, they are just before. It's never too early. It's always very close to the elections. That is when you've already known what is the political strength of certain individuals, of certain parties. What are they likely to bring to the table? That is the first question. I think when they're forming the coalitions is, what am I going to benefit? Why join up? Why gang up together? So when the point here is, what am I bringing to the table? And the person who's also joining is also asking, what am I getting? I am coming, I'm bringing, this is the following I'm bringing. What are you going to give me? So, such that when let's say, when the government has been formed now, let's say, for example, the Grand Coalition in 2002, when we've won, we've delivered a victory. We had an MOU, this is what we have agreed upon. So when one party is sidelined, what happens? Almost immediately after, it starts, there is infighting. So such that, because there was no really, it was just the victory that we needed. And we had an MOU that I thought we would respect. When that doesn't happen, the parties who feel sidelined, what do? They start feeling misgruntled and they leave. When they're leaving, there's always this chaos that they'll start maybe bringing even up other things that we did not know. Which is good for the Mwananchi, but it also shows how weak, how it's never a strong foundation. Actually, there is no foundation there. The foundation was just, I want to win. And if I have the muscle to sideline me when I am inside, what happens? I will throw you out.
Thank you. Now, Philip, this brings us to another issue here about the foundations of the coalitions. Are they usually built on gentleman ground, or there is that part of the law which binds you that we agree on this pre-election, that when I form government, Philip will be my prime minister, or he will have this, I know they talk of the national cake, I don't know how it looks like. Is it built on law or on gentleman ground?
You know, Cornelius, there is nothing apart from your conscience that stops you from breaking the law. So the law is not, it's not anything big enough to keep people in check. Yes, it should, but if you choose to break the law, you'll break the law. So even though these people will come together and they have wonderful MOUs, they have wonderful agreements, they can choose to go against those agreements. And the unfortunate bit or the unfortunate space that we find ourselves in is the fact that we have become a nation that has a culture of deceit. So our politics has made betrayal requisite. We have made blackmail the order of the day. So you get into a coalition, and if you choose, as Celestine has mentioned, if you choose to identify that the person you're in coalition with no longer carries your interest, or is a stumbling block to where you are headed, and by where you're headed, I mean power and the interests that are attached to power, then you can do away with them. And we have seen that happening right from Kibaki's government. It gave birth to the chaos that we saw in 2007 because somebody was shortchanged by an MOU. We have seen that with CODE. We saw that with NASA. We have seen that with Jubilee, because Jubilee, again, even though it is a party, it was a coalition, an understanding between TNA and URP, and principally Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. So it is, if a coalition is founded around the culture of deceit, around an environment of blackmail, and around an environment of betrayal, it is inevitable. It is inevitable that there will be cracks that will appear. It is inevitable that people will be sidelined. And because these people are not just representing political party ideology, they are representing tribes. They are representing communities. So long as that fracture has arisen within the coalition, it is the community that person represents that feels sidelined. When you're talking about 2007 and Kibaki and Raila Odinga, when Raila Odinga stepped out of that coalition, when he was fired, it is not him as an individual who felt the heat. His community, yes, his community felt that they were being attacked because their community broker, and I call them brokers for a reason, had been in that coalition, not just to represent a change agenda, he was also representing their community. So once our political system is founded on this tribal setting, we are likely to see what we are seeing today.
Thank you. Let's do a bit of a comparison. Being in the East African community, our brother here has spent a good part of his life in the country of Uganda. And since the year 1986, Ugandans have been going to the polls to do elections. It is said it's a democratic country. Others talk it is a quasi-democratic. We don't know. You will explain to us. But briefly, will you tell us whether the elections of Uganda, the arrangement, the foundations, are that one like this one of Kenya? Like when Bobby Wine is vying, when Museveni Tuabura is also vying, the current president, does he base his anchorage of saying, I have this community with me, I have this community with me, through and all that arrangement?
Thank you very much. It's quite different with here. When you look at Uganda, is only based with people called Ugandans. So we have people who come from the West, where the President Museveni comes from. We have people from Central, possibly where Bobby Wine comes from. So when politics come, they elect or they participate as Ugandans, not as a given group. Although such a things may be there in the minds of people, but they don't do that so very much. We have several political parties, but these political parties includes all people. Take an example. The current political party is movement, the movement system, that is NRM of Museveni. Bobby Wine came up with the people power, whereby he was instigating the young people. People power, our power, as Article number 1 of the Constitution of Uganda, that the power belongs to the people. Therefore, he came up with that ideology or slogan saying, people power, our power, people power. That's why you see, they used to go so much ahead, fight police, because they know they hold power. So they all gathered together. They move as one team. They move as Ugandans, not as people from different communities. So even when it is like a forming coalitions, it's a little difficult in Uganda because they see them as one. The movement has the Westerners, has the Easterners, has Central people, has the Northerners, and they all move on together, which I think if it could as well be the same ideology that can be brought in this country of Kenya, whereby there is nothing to do with the people from Rift Valley, people from Pwani, the way you hear the stories of Pwani, people from Mount Kenya, and all these people see themselves as one. All the people of Kenya see themselves as one country called Kenya. The country will grow and there will be political stability in the country. This same thing also happens in Uganda, in Rwanda. When you look at Rwanda, Kagame, there were tribes, the Hutus and the Tutsis in Rwanda. But when he came, he said no more issues to do with the tribes. Hundreds, thousands of people died in Rwanda. That's 1992 because of those tribal issues. Kagame said, when you are heard or mentioning your tribe, you are Hutu, you are a Tutsi, that's a criminal case. It's a criminal. So the same applies to Uganda. We don't mention tribes. We mention Ugandans. We look at the people of God. If such an ideology, if such a mind can be here, that will be the best. You know, Kenya is a great country. Economically, it's a great country. It's a hub of East Africa. It's a hub of the region. So if that can go, let me tell you something, possibly you didn't know. Uganda suffered more in 2007-2008 elections, violences, than here. Yeah. Do you know what happened? The roads, like this road that is going to Uganda, the road that takes goods in Uganda and Tanzania and Rwanda and Burundi and Congo, plus South Sudan, they were blocked. So when there is a commotion here, it does not affect you. But Ugandans, people in the interior, those that are having the landlocked countries, suffers more than here. That's why you see, we normally pray for this country to be stable.
Thank you so much, Godfrey.
I tend to differ. I don't think this idea that we are trying to say that when you see yourselves as one, I think that is an avenue to be crushed. Because the person who is coming in has power over all of you. Whatever he says carries the day. Because seemingly, when us as Kenyans, when we look at Uganda, we certainly don't want a president like Museveni. We certainly don't want a president like Kagame.
That's from the lenses of Kenya.
We don't want that. We don't want someone who crashes. Like any other person will not matter. It almost feels like a one-party state if you do not agree.
We'll be coming into that on the second part of the show. But there's something here, especially in Kenya, that Philip has admitted, you've also admitted that these coalitions are usually revolving around, he talked of the tribal kingpins, where you find that coalition A has got a member from community A, B, C, D, coalition B. So at some point, like the case we had in the year 2017, you could realize that you could tell that this coalition has carried people from this region and that region, and this coalition has carried people from this region and that region.
Yes.
As we continue evolving towards having that moment of people now talking of, I can elect anybody from anywhere, how do we harmonize to a point that it cannot be said that coalition A carries people from this region, so that even after the election, whenever something comes up like a disagreement, it's not easy to vilify people in regard to whom they're perceived to have voted for?
First, it's important to appreciate where we have come from. And this is not just for Kenya, this is for the whole continent, because African countries and nations, as we know them today, are accidents of the Berlin Conference. We were not supposed to be divided as we are today. And certainly Kenya was not supposed to be Kenya the geographical state we know it today. What that did, and it was to the benefit of the colonial masters, it made them subjugate those who had been colonized properly. So you had communities that had different ways of governing themselves, and that is why you see Mount Kenya behaving in the way they behave, because that is the way they have done things since the pre-colonial times. You see Luo Nyanza behaving that way, you see the Luya nation behaving that way, and people fall to the Luya nation, but because of the different community arrangements that were there and the social stratification that was there before, we have carried that on today. But it is not sustainable. When you have a nation that is governed from a central place, you cannot bring those different sets of communal ideologies and decide that those will govern the country. And that is the problem we're having. We have a scenario where we need to be one nation, as we ought to be, but then there are some communities that feel they are more entitled because they have certain numbers. These are things that we do not admit to ourselves, but they are true. There are certain communities that feel this community has been in leadership for too long. We need also to benefit from what you were calling the national cake, and I don't think it is even a national cake. It is a cake that is a preserve of certain individuals who manage to get to the table. So for me, for us to get to a point where it will not matter where you come from, for you to be elected to be president of this country, we have to first decide to change ourselves. We must first decide to forsake those tribal arrangements. Yes, I know as a Luo, I must, or traditionally, we had to listen to the Ruoth, the chief, and the chief said it all. But because we are moving towards building one nation, I will forsake what I think or what has been ingrained in me as a matter of where I come from, and try, and it's a difficult thing to do, but we can try to forsake those tribal arrangements.
Many thanks.
Yes.
We go for a quick commercial break. Tonight we are looking into what is happening all over the country right now, that is coalitions. We are seeing politicians actually mobilizing people from their communities, different regions, and having different meetings, trying to put up what is known as a coalition. But our guests tonight are trying to help us looking into some of the advantages, the disadvantages, and especially where we are headed to as a country and what is the way forward. Keep it here on CAC TV.
Experience Christian television like never before.
What are we called to do to transform the world, to make it more Christ-like, and ultimately to Christianize?
We are Christian professionals placed by God in our different spheres.
CAC TV brings you news.
Ulimwengu unabadilika kwa kasi na kila dakika ya siku kuna jambo unalopaswa kujua.
Economic.
Ni mmoja tu wa wanabiashara ambao tumezungumza nao, mtazamaji.
Health.
The egg from Kenyeji chicken is very good, and people know that.
Be rest assured that health is wealth.
Faith, as well as national issues programs to nourish your heart, mind, and soul.
We can bring the change that we desire in our country.
We look into political and governance matters and current affairs matters with a third eye.
We are called to multiply disciples. So there has to be disciple makers, and there has to be people that are willing to be those disciples.
CAC TV brings it all to you.
God bless you. If we were to express our faith in the workplace, even in our offices, I don't think we'd be dealing with the issues that our country is dealing right now.
In every situation, there's a silver lining.
If I'm a Christian professional, will I be engaged in corruption or in tribalism or some of these other national vices we have in the workplace?
How do we get back to the original design as God intended it to be?
We inspire.
The cross unites, these other traditions divide.
The God of hope fills us with joy and peace so that we overflow with hope.
encourage resilience.
When you see like, what? It's like when an accident is coming to happen and you're seeing yourself dead. You get to a point where you say, no, but God is there. And you know, he puts a stop.
And instill hope that anchors the soul.
We know that God intends that we have life and have it in abundance.
Don't miss Rays of Hope, Mondays at 8 p.m. only on CAC TV.
The Bible should play the most important role in the life of a Christian regarding making decisions, major or minor. God gave humankind a freedom of choice between numerous possibilities, but the basic choice is between good and evil. Bibles are now available at the PCA head office bookshop, South C, Nairobi. We have Bibles available in English, Kiswahili, and Kikuyu. Make your purchase today. For more information, call 0722 205051.
Jihadhari usije ukasahau, dial star 811 star 187 hash and select 2.
Inasemekana mtafutaji hachoki.
Hakuna kazi rahisi, kazi zote ni ngumu.
Hakuna kitu mwanamume anafanya hapa sisi tunashindwa kufanya. Hakuna.
Akichoka kesha pata.
We only get limited in the mind. Exactly. Mimi nasema my space, my creation, I become.
Ungana nasi kwenye kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ambapo tunakuhimiza.
Bado safari ipo. Tunang'ang'ana.
Kukuhamasisha.
Jua kali tunatengeneza vitu ambazo zinapatikana katika kila nyumba. Hata nyumba kuu ya Kenya State House utapata mali ya jua kali ziko huko.
Na kukuelimisha kuhusu sekta mbalimbali zinazounda nguzo kuu za uchumi wa nchi kwa jumla.
Kama association tunawahimiza kabisa kila mtu awe na ile card ya insurance ambayo ni ya serikali.
Usikose Kazi na Mali kila siku ya Jumanne saa 1:30 jioni hapa CAC TV.
Welcome back and many thanks for tuning in here on CAC TV on Powerbrief tonight as we look inside the politics of coalitions just 11 months before the general election of the year 2022. Before we went for a break, Philip, you are trying to actually bring out a number of things regarding coalitions, their foundations, and how it can turn out that Kenyans can actually change from that trajectory of following what the so-called kingpins does. But so far, we are having a discussion in this country where we are having an alliance called One Kenya Alliance, and we are having another camp which is perceived to be an opponent of this One Kenya Alliance. That is a camp of the Deputy President William Ruto, which calls himself as a hustlers nation. The camp of the One Kenya Alliance, also the one that Raila Odinga is in it, they have that belief that indeed you cannot rule a country as one person. You have to bring other people together. The kingpins, as Philip puts it. But the Deputy President William Ruto is talking of it's time the people come together, not the leaders. All these are bringing out their points, but we want also to get it from you between the Deputy President's sentiments and the sentiments that are coming from Raila camp and also Musalia Wetangula and Kalonzo Musyoka.
One thing is certain, a coalition and these formidable forces are just what we are referring to as the dynasties. What are they coming to protect? the dynasties, when they come together, are they for us or for themselves? And seemingly appearing as if they're for us. Is it just a con game, as it has always been? It's just the same thing that is being perpetrated. The other thing, when it's called a hustlers nation, look at it, is it also a con game? Just lying to the people. What exactly is a hustlers nation? Does it mean that they actually are going to represent you there? Is it just a way, is it just a lie to tell you, yes, you are hustlers, I am fighting for you, I am rooting for you? Let's talk of the track record. What has he done, Ruto, in the past that can actually guarantee us there is the hustlers nation that is going to be leading? How? He's still fast. Take this as a scenario. Once William Ruto becomes president, who does he first talk to? Whose interest will he first protect? Is it us? Will he first go and maybe probably tell the former president, oh, of course I'm going to protect your interest and so on? That is the case. It's just a con game. It is now time for us, who are being referred as hustlers. Wait, I don't like using that name. It's time for the people, yes, we should come together. But for what and for who are we following? Is it, I am not buying into either of this. For now, it is just a way for one to be at the top. By lying to you, me as a leader, I'm going to protect you, will form. We have been the leaders, we've been protecting you. I am maybe from the coastal region, I'm from the Luya nation, so I'm representing my people. Is it true they're representing their people, or are they just presenting their interests? So that is the one thing we need to know.
Now here we are confronted with a scenario, just as you said, where we have two evils, that is as per you. And someone once said that if you have a choice to choose between two evils, where you land at is the lesser of the two evils, which is not really proper in any way. So in short, what are you trying to say? Because at the end of it all, it's either this camp or the other camp that will actually most probably take the leadership of this country.
For me, I know one thing that is going to take. I highly doubt that even what they're calling as the hustlers nation is going to go alone. First, let's talk about this hustlers nation. How many people does it have? What kind of, are we talking about just maybe the calendar? Has it managed to attract the whole of other regions? Are they attracting every other region? And if, for example, being a Kenyan, and I also now check the OCA, is it going to represent all other regions? So, most likely, OCA, when they actually now come together and form a proper coalition, and maybe proper formula, it's too soon, I think, in my opinion, it's too soon to decide who's going to win. But the coalition that will actually represent all tribes is the one that will take the day. Even that hustlers nation is going to be, it's a big lie. It's nothing like hustlers nation. You will still see, once, as we were saying earlier, once the money is right, people are going to come together. What are they going to do?
Thank you. Philip, before Kato comes in, what is coming out from Celestine is like there are two evils here. But again, these evils are actually anchored on realities that we are having them, and most probably they are coming out as necessary evils that there's no way you're running away from it. One is talking of let the communities or let the leaders from the communities come together. And another one is talking of it is me now to go to the people. Before we come and look into the dangers of these approaches, do you think either of these is now moving the country into the right reality path?
I would say no. And for me, if you're first with, as Kenyans are, or as politicians have made us believe that we are first with two evils, and we only have to choose between either of them, I think when you're first with that scenario, you don't choose either of the two. You create a force of good. And that is what I desire Kenyans would do next year. Yes, politicians have regrouped, they have rebranded, they have recreated themselves, but we know them. In as much as Kenyans may vote for people with shady characters and whatnot, they actually know these people. But it's just that we have been cultured to think that if we do not vote for this individual, if we do not vote for this group, then we'll be losing our votes. So it is very possible for Kenyans to change direction and say, we are not going for One Kenya Alliance. And in my view, One Kenya Alliance is not really to bring the whole of Kenya together. It is for these individuals who have come together to benefit from the whole of Kenya. It's not about uniting the country. When William Ruto is talking about the other side being a coalition of tribes, the same thing will play in his whatever outfit he chooses to run with come 2022. So I wish that Kenyans would create their own force of good, because there are so many individuals out there who are not tribal, individuals who represent the highest levels of patriotism. I wish that we would create another force of good and completely abandon these evil options that have been created for us.
Thank you. Sally Kato, regarding what Philippa said and also Celestine, is that there's nothing like a lesser evil. If the two are evils, then they're evils. It's time for people to chart a path of choosing what is right. 11 months remaining before Kenyans go to the polls. I remember you talked of the slogan that you saw on the other side of the people power and all that. Is this time enough to really bring in a new hope and a new path that Kenyans can choose, leaving the other lines that Celestine and also Philip have talked of? It is too, it's not bringing light.
The issue so remains and stands. People are there and people are following. People live, people exist, people know history. People follow what has been there. They have seen what they have gone through, and they are possibly seeing what is likely to come ahead of time. So as them, they even know that power belongs to us. So if one came and is trying to divert us away from the fact, definitely they may find that they will incline to their truth. There are certain truths that people might not be outwitted about. Like if there are others that are inclined to their tribes, there are those who say this is our person. So our person is like the one who is likely to give us the social stability. Is the one who is likely to bring us together. So even when you came from another place and say now it is wheelbarrow, and these people have already said that no, we belong to this. So they know the causative of what is likely to make them ringer together. So therefore, in the 11 months that are remaining, people are there watching. They are seeing who is winning what, who is cheating who. Be it Mount Kenya, even when you hear the stories. Someone was saying that, please, we are going to support you faithfully. They have seen what you do. They have seen what is likely to do. Are you one who is likely to cause commotion? There are history that is said. You knew it, and you know, possibly we know, that one instigated fire on a certain group of people. When he instigated it, then the commotion arose in the country. So therefore, I know there are others who are on the ground causing others to understand, teaching them. And I believe in the next few months, there are those who will always be strong, who are patriotic in the country. And they will serve the country, they stand in for the country, and that's the prayer that we are making. The religious leaders are mobilizing, simple chiefs and other people. Schools are doing that. You see in the social media, it's the prayer that we pray, that currently the politics, surely the politics right now is going on internet. But we need to do it so well that even the internet, we do not misuse it. Because it's another movement of mobilizing masses, most especially the younger people who are very prone, who can even move and even fight. So I would at this stage pray that in the few months that are remaining, we work so well and see to it that we use everything we have in the right way. If they are politicians, let them ring well with the community. The young people, do it well. Social media, we use it so well, such that the country will be stable. It is enough. Surely, organization can be done in the shortest time possible.
Thank you. Now, something historic is happening in the country of Kenya, and political commentators have gone back to try to understand it. Actually, it began from the historic and the famous handshake that an official opposition leader can join the government and they can start advising each other with the head of state. It didn't stop there, because in the recent days, we've seen the head of state calling for meetings. There was a meeting the other day at the Mombasa State House. Another one just happened yesterday. And though it hasn't come on light, but you could get information that the entire idea behind it is that the president is interested to see that a particular group of leaders come together to really maybe get to another level of leadership as we head to the elections. In quick responses and also your analysis, what does this portray to the political dynamics and the future of this country?
The first thing we see is the question that people will ask: is it right for the president to go against his deputy and even actually maybe support someone else? First, it is his right. He can do it as long as he does not impose the seemingly preferred candidate who as of now seems like Raila Odinga to the electorate. That is fine. But is it right on the face of it, on the face of democracy? Is it right? For me, I would say no, it is not right. Nevertheless, it is his right. He can exercise it as he wishes. And the other thing that we also know, maybe they're not even maybe talking about, it could be that it is just a way to incite emotions of the people. Maybe that's not what they're talking about. They could just go and have a meeting and talk about something else. But who is the biggest master of propaganda in this country we've ever had? It is Raila Odinga. The information actually leaks before he speaks about how does that? We get the field, the state, which is the media, is used in that way. He will have a closed meeting, even before he can speak or even before we know what you're talking about. There are some people who are giving a narrative. There's a narrative that he wants to go ahead of him before he comes to address it. If it fits right, that is what they will dwell upon. So it seems, number one, is it another, just the other thing as I was saying, is it another con game? It is fine. So I am not so sure what they actually talk behind closed doors. And none of us, as we are saying, as of yesterday, we still don't know what they talk about.
Suppose what comes out from what we read from some of these authenticated newsrooms, and those ones who say they are privy to the meeting, to the information that were there. Suppose it is true, as it is being said, that the president is keen to see that coalition moves to another level.
There is no problem. Absolutely none. There won't be a problem if he chooses this is the person I want to run for presidency against his deputy. I don't think there is any harm because, well, as I've said, it is his right. He can exercise it as he wishes, as long as he doesn't push it and force it down our throats. It's okay.
Many thanks. Philip, as we come to the home stretch, there is one thing in Kenya that is usually viewed that when you are on the side of the ruling regime, or when the ruling regime is, it's suspected that they're supporting you, that you already have an upper hand towards where you're headed to as far as political aspirations are concerned. And here we're having a situation where it is on air somewhere that the head of state is behind some of these arrangements. What is your take on it? Suppose actually that is the way things are.
It's not a question of whether it will happen or not. It is actually happening. And you know, you walk the streets today and ask Kenyans who do you think is likely going to be president? And no matter who they support, they will tell you, I support this person. He might actually win, but they will not give it to him. And that is the reality of what we call our democracy. The president masterminding succession politics is unfortunate for me, because we are not in a monarchical state where the president decides I'm going to back this person and I will sell this person no matter what. But it's not just the president that I'm worried about, because he speaks on behalf of certain quarters. He speaks on behalf of very deep business interests, very deep property interests in this country. And those are the people who decide who is going to become president. We might think that, yes, we have a voice on the ballot, but they have worked a way around the systems that we have put in place. We will go vote, yes, but like it happened to Raila Odinga at one point in time, and the other that was hotly contested, they have worked a way around the systems and institutions that we have set in place. Those are the people that we should be worried about, because to them, it is not the voice of the people that counts. It is their deep political, business and property interests that count. So Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, is not masterminding this succession politics or fronting Raila Odinga because he thinks Raila Odinga is good for the country, but because he knows that if they enter a pact with Raila Odinga, those people who are behind power in this country are going to be protected. And that is why the Stop Ruto movement is very active, because they know, because we sidelined this man, because we have gone against him full throttle, if he gets into power, then we are finished. That is the whole idea behind this succession politics and behind Oka Alliance. It may catch up with some individuals who may appear innocent, like Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, who does not have much following. But that is the whole idea behind this succession politics. It is unfortunate. We would wish that it does not happen, but that is the reality. It probably might, take root in 2022. They probably might have their way if Kenyans don't decide to create that force of good that I was talking about.
Thank you. Now, with parting shots beginning from Kato, we'll go to Celestine, and also we come to Philip as we come to the end of the show. The things that you've really mentioned, you've exhausted the history, what is supposed to be done, the alternative approaches, and what the future looks like as far as democracy is concerned here in Kenya. But the journey is still on, 11 months from now. And tomorrow another big development will be happening at the Court of Appeal here in Kenya. But at the end of the day, people must live, people must move forward, people must take their active roles. So your parting shot to the players, the IBC, the ruling class, the citizens, and everything that contributes towards the election of the year 2022.
Thank you. One thing that everyone deserves to know is that when you are given a chance to manage or to take to care for something, one day, one time in your lifetime, you'll give a report. If you don't give it in the word of the living, there is one who sees in secret. That's God, the maker who has given you power. Kindly, I only request that everyone would deserves to use the best of his knowledge and do the best to his country. That if you are in the political arena, you are in the parliament, you are judges, kindly do your best. Don't cheat. If you are given a chance to say that you are the one in the leader of the IEBC, make sure that you give the best result, because you know if you do make a mistake, you are going to cause commotion. How will it be in the history that your children will hear that you caused the commotion and the country went on fire because of you? Please don't you ever forget that you live as an individual, but as an individual, there are people who are behind you. Make a point that they are your grandchildren, they are your children who will be blamed, or rather who will suffer because of you.
Thank you, Sally Kato.
So do the best.
As the drums and the trumpets of election are being blown, are being the sounds are going high, what do you remind the country, all stakeholders, as far as general elections are concerned?
Power belongs to the people. It is up to you and I to exercise what we want. Who the leaders we want to see can only be elected by you and I. So you cannot sit and complain that you have bad leadership. That is the person you voted for or did not vote. Remember, not voting is voting. You have actually made a decision. So be wise. And also now, remember that power, it's the constitution, we have enshrined it, belongs to you. You're the one who's going to choose the best leader for this country.
So you've gone contrary to what maybe Philip was trying to tell us about you might have made the decision, but someone else makes the decision. Philip, speak to the nation.
Yes, I actually agree. It's just that I was presenting our unfortunate
the realities.
Yes, but this is what I would tell Kenyans. There are 3 stages to change. One is moving concern to conversation, and then moving conversation into action. We have long been stuck at the place of conversation. We complain, we point out these issues, but we do very little about it. And we have an opportunity every 5 years, and we'll be getting that opportunity next year to do something about the concern and conversations that we have had. It will be very wonderful if Kenyans normalize the idea of independent candidates, because we are living in a space where the political parties do not represent what they actually claim to represent. And if you identify an individual who stands for where this country should be headed, the prosperity of this nation, the prosperity of devolution and the counties, then it should not matter that they are not standing in the right political party, that they are not standing in the popular political party in their region. Vote for them because they are the people who are going to take this country forward. If we go that direction, then I think we will be moving a step in the direction of prosperity.
Many thanks. That brings us to the end of our conversation tonight. It's just because of time, but we have taken our time to look into the inside the coalition politics that is taking place in the country of Kenya. Our guest, that is Celestine Njagi, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, Mr. Godfrey Kato, who is a governance and political affairs researcher, also Mr. Philip Mwangale, who is a leadership and governance consultant, have taken us through this conversation. But always remember our national mantra, that is peace, love and unity. That is tomorrow, another day, and even for the future. From me, Cornelius Omuse, I appreciate your overwhelming responses on our social media platforms. We could not get time to maybe read some of them, but till next Thursday, God willing, we wish you a very good night. Thank you.